No matter what challenges or struggles you face today, remember this: God is bigger than your problems. He is with you in every moment, and His power and love surround you. In times of hardship, He provides strength, guidance, and comfort. His word reminds us of His unshakable presence. In Isaiah 41, verse 10, "Fear not, for I am with you. Be not dismayed, for I am your God. I will strengthen you. I will help you. I will uphold you with my righteous right hand." Today, take a deep breath and trust that God is walking beside you, carrying you through every difficulty. Whatever the obstacle, God's promise is greater than the problem. So, what if the solution to your biggest struggle is already within reach, waiting for you to trust in the God who is bigger than all of it? Here is another powerful passage that underscores God's greatness and His ability to overcome any problem. In Psalm 34, verses 17 to 19, "When the righteous cry for help, the Lord hears and delivers them out of all their troubles. The Lord is near to the brokenhearted and saves the crushed in spirit. Many are the afflictions of the righteous, but the Lord delivers him out of them all." This passage reminds us that no matter what challenges we face, God is with us, near us, and able to deliver us from all troubles. Even in our most difficult moments, God's presence and power are greater than the problems we encounter. Here are the 5 reminders that God is bigger than our problems, now with additional Bible verses for each one. The number 1, God hears our prayers. In times of struggle, doubt, or fear, the comforting truth is that God is always listening. The Bible assures us that when the righteous cry out for help, the Lord hears and responds to their pleas. Psalm 34, verse 17 declares, "When the righteous cry for help, the Lord hears and delivers them out of all their troubles." This powerful verse reminds us that God's ear is always inclined toward His people, and no matter how dire our circumstances, He promises deliverance. When life feels overwhelming, and it seems like there is no one who understands, we can take solace in the fact that God is attentive to every prayer. God's attentiveness goes beyond merely listening. He acts. In Isaiah 65, verse 24, we are reminded of His proactive nature in our lives. "Before they call, I will answer. While they are yet speaking, I will hear." This passage underscores that God's response is not bound by the moment we ask, but is already in motion even before we utter the words. He knows our needs before they form in our hearts, and He is already moving to meet those needs in His perfect timing. It is a reminder that we are never forgotten or overlooked. God's promises are not vague, but steadfast and assured. In contrast, Proverbs 15, verse 29 offers a poignant insight into the nature of God's relationship with the righteous and the wicked. "The Lord is far from the wicked, but He hears the prayer of the righteous." This serves as a reminder that God's response is closely tied to the posture of our hearts. While He is always ready to listen to those who seek Him with sincerity and faith, He is distant from those whose hearts are far from Him. The difference is not in God's ability to hear, but in His willingness to respond. For the righteous, those who trust and honor Him, God's presence is near, and His answers are certain. Ultimately, the assurance that God hears our prayers is not just a comforting thought, but a life-altering reality. When we cry out to God in prayer, whether in joy or sorrow, He listens with a heart full of compassion. He does not simply hear our words. He understands the depths of our hearts and knows exactly how to answer in ways that lead to our good. With every prayer, we are invited into a relationship with a God who is never distant, always attentive, and constantly at work on our behalf. The number 2, God is near to us in our struggles. In times of heartache, when the weight of life feels unbearable, we often feel isolated, as if no one understands or sees our pain. Yet, in these very moments, God promises His nearness. Psalm 34, verse 18 tells us that the Lord is near to the brokenhearted and saves the crushed in spirit. This verse is a profound reminder that God does not distance Himself from our suffering. Instead, He draws near, offering comfort and refuge when we feel most vulnerable. Whether it's the pain of loss, disappointment, or overwhelming struggles, God's love and presence are especially tangible in our times of greatest need. We may not always understand the why behind our suffering, but we can rest assured that God is with us, walking alongside us in our trials. Zephaniah 3 verse 17 further assures us of God's presence, declaring, "The Lord your God is with you, the mighty warrior who saves. He will take great delight in you. In his love he will no longer rebuke you, but will rejoice over you with singing." Here, God is not just a passive observer of our struggles, but an active, mighty warrior who fights on our behalf. Even in our weakness, God rejoices over us. This is a beautiful picture of God's deep affection for his people, a love that is not conditional upon our strength or perfection. Even when we are weary or have stumbled, God delights in us, and he rejoices over us with songs of love. In the New Testament, James 4 verse 8 invites us to take an active step toward God, saying, "Draw near to God, and he will draw near to you." In our struggles, it's easy to turn inward or to retreat from God in our pain. Yet, this verse reminds us that God is always ready to meet us where we are. He is not distant, waiting for us to be fixed or perfect before he extends his help. Instead, he calls us to approach him with honesty and vulnerability, and in return, he promises his intimate presence. In drawing near to God, we find peace that surpasses understanding and a source of strength that helps us endure even the hardest of circumstances. God's presence is not just a comforting thought, but a powerful reality in our lives. In our darkest moments, when we feel defeated and alone, we can find hope in knowing that God is near. He is not a distant, detached figure, but an ever-present help, ready to carry us through whatever struggles we face. His love is unwavering, and his faithfulness never falters. No matter how deep our pain, God's nearness offers us the hope and strength to press on, knowing we are never truly alone. The number 3, God delivers us from all trouble. In life, trials and tribulations are inevitable. No matter how strong or righteous we may feel, we will face moments of suffering, despair, and hardship. Psalm 34 verse 19 reminds us, "Many are the afflictions of the righteous, but the Lord delivers him out of them all." This verse speaks to the certainty of God's deliverance, no matter how intense or long-lasting our struggles may seem. The righteous are not exempt from trials, but they can take comfort in the promise that God will see them through. In the darkest moments, when we feel overwhelmed by life's challenges, we can rely on God's unwavering promise of deliverance. It's not just a temporary escape, it's a complete redemption from whatever we face. God's deliverance is not partial or half-hearted. Psalm 34 verse 17 amplifies this truth. "The righteous cry out, and the Lord hears them. He delivers them from all their troubles." The psalmist emphasizes the all-encompassing nature of God's care. When we cry out in distress, we are not left unheard or abandoned. God hears us, and he acts on our behalf, rescuing us from the clutches of despair. It's a reminder that we are never alone in our suffering. Even when we cannot see a way out, God is already at work on our behalf, working behind the scenes to bring us into his peace and freedom. The promise of deliverance is not just a fleeting hope, it is a divine guarantee. In Jeremiah 31 verse 11, we read, "For the Lord will deliver Jacob and redeem them from the hand of those stronger than they." This passage speaks of God's power to overcome forces that seem insurmountable. No matter how mighty our adversaries may appear, God's strength is always greater. This verse shows that God will not only save us, but will also redeem us fully from the control of those circumstances that seem more powerful than we are. His deliverance restores us to a place of security and peace, not simply removing us from danger, but bringing us back to a place of favor and blessing. When facing adversity, it's important to remember that God's deliverance is both certain and complete. The enemy may try to convince us that our troubles are too much to bear or that God's promises are only for others, but the Bible shows us again and again that God is faithful to his word. As we face our own trials, we can hold on to the truth that God's deliverance is not just a possibility, it is an unbreakable promise. The question is not whether he will deliver us, but when and how. With faith, we can trust that God is always working for our good, guiding us toward victory and restoration, no matter what we endure. The number 4, God's strength is greater than our weakness. Life often brings moments of struggle, doubt, and exhaustion. At times, we feel overwhelmed, as though we cannot face another day. Our bodies tire, our minds race with anxiety, and our spirits may falter under the weight of our challenges. Yet, in these moments of profound weakness, God's strength shines through. The Bible reminds us that in our most vulnerable states, God's grace is more than enough to sustain us. As 2 Corinthians 12 verse 9 tells us, "But he said to me, My grace is sufficient for you, for my power is made perfect in weakness." This powerful declaration shifts our perspective, inviting us to embrace our weaknesses, knowing that God's strength is greater. It's not in our own ability to stand firm that we find victory, but in the unfailing power of God to hold us up. The Apostle Paul, who knew well the feeling of weakness, boldly declared, "Therefore I will boast all the more gladly of my weaknesses, so that the power of Christ may rest upon me." This statement isn't about resignation, but rather about embracing the reality that our human frailty creates the perfect space for God's power to work most effectively. When we acknowledge our limitations, we make room for the limitless power of Christ to flow through us. Far from being a hindrance, our weaknesses become the avenue through which God's strength is made most evident. This radical perspective invites us to shift from self-reliance to God-reliance, trusting that it's His strength, not ours, that enables us to overcome life's trials. Philippians 4 verse 13 echoes this truth, stating, "I can do all things through Him who strengthens me." This verse is a reminder that no matter how daunting the road ahead may seem, we are never alone in our struggles. The strength that comes from God is boundless, equipping us with the endurance and resolve to face every challenge. When we feel defeated, we can be confident that Christ is with us, empowering us to rise above our circumstances. This promise of divine strength does not mean we won't encounter difficulties, but it reassures us that God's power is more than enough to carry us through them. With His help, there is no challenge too great, no obstacle insurmountable. The Psalms also remind us of God's unwavering support. Psalm 28 verse 7 declares, "The Lord is my strength and my shield. In Him my heart trusts, and I am helped." Here, we are encouraged to place our trust fully in God, knowing that He is both our protector and our source of strength. In moments of uncertainty, He is our shield, guarding us from the forces that threaten to overwhelm us. As we trust in Him, we experience His help in tangible ways. In our weakness, we discover the true power of God, whose strength transforms our struggles into opportunities for His glory to shine. So, the next time we face moments of weakness, let us remember that it is in these very moments that God's strength becomes most evident, and we can stand firm in the confidence that His grace will always be sufficient. The number 5. God's plan is bigger than our circumstances. In life, it's easy to feel overwhelmed by the challenges we face. Whether it's a personal struggle, a setback in our career, or a difficult relationship, these moments often cause us to doubt the direction of our lives. But, as Scripture reminds us, God's plan is far greater than what we see in the moment. Jeremiah 29 verse 11 speaks directly to our hearts, assuring us that God's plans for us are filled with hope, not harm. Even in times of uncertainty, we can trust that God is working behind the scenes, shaping our future in ways that we might not yet understand. His timing and purpose are perfect, even when we can't see the full picture. Romans 8 verse 28 echoes this truth by telling us that all things work together for the good of those who love God and are called according to His purpose. No matter how challenging or painful our circumstances may seem, God is constantly weaving them together for something greater. Our struggles are not random or without purpose. They are a part of God's larger plan to refine us, grow us, and prepare us for the future He has in store. In moments of hardship, it's important to remember that God sees the end result, and His plan is ultimately one of good, even when it doesn't feel that way in the present. Psalm 37 verse 23 reminds us that when we delight in God's ways and trust in His leadership, He establishes our steps. Our lives are not dictated by random events or by the whims of the world around us. God is actively involved in guiding us, leading us through both the highs and lows of life. Every step we take, no matter how small or seemingly insignificant, is part of a much larger story that God is writing. His plan is purposeful, and He is with us every step of the way, even when it seems like we're walking through the unknown. When we face difficulties, it's easy to become consumed by our present circumstances, allowing fear, frustration, or doubt to cloud our perspective. However, it's crucial to step back and remind ourselves that God's perspective is eternal, and His purposes extend far beyond the limits of what we can currently understand. Trusting in His plan means believing that no matter what we're going through, He is in control and He is working everything for our good. His love for us is unchanging, and His purpose for our lives is unshakable, even when the road ahead seems uncertain. So, in every circumstance, we can hold on to the hope that God's plan is bigger, better, and more beautiful than anything we could imagine. In conclusion, no matter the challenges we face in life, we can take heart in knowing that God is bigger than our problems. His power, love, and promises are greater than any obstacle we encounter. From hearing our prayers to being near us in our struggles, God offers us strength and deliverance when we need it most. His plan for our lives is always greater than our current circumstances, and through His presence, we find the strength to endure and overcome. Trust in God's greatness, knowing that He is always with you, working behind the scenes for your good, and walking beside you through every trial. With Him, there is no challenge too great, no problem too big, because God is bigger than anything we face.